What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Drunk Fish Keeping. So as you'll see, my 8-gallon tank is about halfway stripped down. I'm going to get rid of this tank. I don't know what it is about the 8-gallon cube. I just haven't really been filling this tank. I don't know if it was the aggravation I had with it being the freshwater and then converting it to salt. But I really haven't moved a whole lot with this tank, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of not feeling, I don't know if it's because it's a cube. I'm not a big fan of cube tanks. I don't know what it is. I'm just not feeling this setup for whatever reasons. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to be replacing it with. And this is what I'm replacing it with. This is made by Proclear, which makes a lot of acrylic tanks, sumps, overflows, things like that. Really good build quality. Now, I've seen this labeled two ways. I've seen it labeled as the Fishtastic, and I've also seen it labeled as the Proclear iTank 5, which, you know, they're the same tank. I just think they may have rebranded it. I've had a hard time finding stuff on this tank online because it's been out for a year or two. It's a really nice little all-in-one setup, or AIO as it's called, but not a lot of information, which is kind of sad because your build instructions, I'm going to show you guys what we have here. This is pretty much what the setup instructions consist of. Nothing. So you really got to kind of work it out yourself. This is really just telling you to set the aquarium, how to acclimate your fish. So if you have never set up a tank, maybe not the one to go with unless you know what you're doing. The cool thing is you do have a sump with this tank. And you have a nice line out the back where you can put at least, I'd say, judging by this, 2 cords through. One for the pump. Could probably fit a heater in here, which I plan on doing. The cool thing about the sump is that it does take your standard Aqueon filter cartridges. Now, if you're doing a basic freshwater setup, I guess these would work. I've never been a big fan of these just because, you know, you slide this out, you put a fresh Aqueon cartridge in there, you drop it back in your little guide, and, you know, there you go. You don't really have a whole lot of room to cultivate biological media. You know, so if you end up doing a water change with this, because you got the filter for your mechanical and you've got the carbon, you hear it in there. You don't really have a lot to build up your biological, which might be a problem, you know. But with the sump in, you could do an additional biological packet. You could do multiple biological packets. In fact, I plan on putting this as a saltwater tank, so I'm going to probably end up doing a big bag of carbon here and a big bag of biopellets here, and probably put some Purigen in there as well, and let that be on the filter side. I'll probably leave this in here just to help catch some initial junk, and then once that catches that initial junk, most likely we'll pull that off. Now, I will probably keep this because you could put some filter floss in there and it'll still set in there, and that does make a nice little guard. So you can put some filter floss in there and be able to kind of pull it out. But these, like I said, if you're doing a simple freshwater tank, these aren't bad. If you're going to do anything with a lot of livestock, which you can't do a whole lot of livestock in a 5-gallon tank, but we plan on doing a lot of stocking, and or if you turn this into a salt reef tank, this will quickly become worthless. Now, setup on this, from what I can see, it's a little unique. This is supposed to go in here like this. Not quite sure if this is here to catch the drain back spout. Don't know. There's no other way this really fits in here and works. Because you put it this way, you can't really set anything down. Now, I don't know if you're supposed to turn it this way and it's supposed to backfill into here, and this has got some length to it, so I don't know if that's supposed to run through on this side and catch. Not sure. Seems like it makes a little bit more sense to have it to the front here. Not sure, but I can try it either way. I always do a test run on my tanks with water before I put anything in, make sure you don't have any leaks. As far as construction of the tank, it's pretty good. I'm going to put it together real quick and then show you guys the quality of the build on it. So this is what it looks like sitting up. Not a huge tank, so it would be good for desktop. And because this thing's acrylic, super lightweight, so it's, you know, not going to have the additional weight of like a glass aquarium of this size, which would weigh probably closer to the, you know, 20-pound mark. This tank probably weighs in, I think, around 8 pounds, maybe less. So if you're looking for a lightweight tank, it's not bad. Now, keep in mind, this and the back panel, this whole panel really is acrylic. Now, this has got the white on it, so you don't have to worry about scratches much. Be careful with this, because if you haven't dealt with acrylic tanks, they will scratch easier than glass. So cleaning, always make sure to clean with something soft, because you can scratch acrylic up quite quickly, and it is a real pain to get acrylic cleared back out once it's full of livestock. You have to really get in there and polish, which is not fun. Scratches on the outside, not so bad, and on the inside, much harder to get rid of. So here's what makes this kind of a cool little setup. This light. Now, it's pretty bright, and I'll cut this overhead light off here so you guys can kind of see it. I mean, it's a pretty bright tank. It's not dim. Here's your night light setting. You know, so for your freshwater people, this will probably do about what you need for very low light plants. I mean, you don't have a lot of depth down here, so you're going to get a pretty good amount of saturation down once you get down here to the bottom. You're still getting a pretty good amount of saturation if you figure you're going to be dealing with plants up in this range. Now, your reef people, mushrooms, you know, things that don't require a lot of light, some of your phyllias, I think, would do okay in here. You know, there's your blue, so you're not going to get as much color as you want out of this. Here's what's cool about this setup. Now, we'll pull this off so you guys can see the light itself, and there's your whites, you can see, and then your blues, 5 blues in the center. What's cool about this is this. That's a solid piece of acrylic, and a Kessel will fit in this pretty much perfectly. So if you're gonna do a small reef, you can fit a pretty nice Kessel in that thing and have it sit right in here, and you don't have to worry about creep, because this is gonna take the creep. Now, if you're someone who's doing freshwater, that protein gunky scum that builds up, this is gonna help protect that from your light as well, because I will say, there is no covering on this. I'm actually touching the diodes right now. So it would be exceptionally advisable to make sure that this stays in place. And if you're going to do salt, it wouldn't be a bad idea, you know, every so often to pull this out, make sure it's wiped down, because it seals pretty tight. You could still end up getting some creep in there. You have vent holes here, and then you have this, which I would assume is for quick feeding, and or if you know reef guy, you can pull another, you know, cord out of there if you put a power head in there. Not going to be able to snake much down in there as far as tucking something in on the side. The reason for that is, get down here and show you guys. There's your return. Now you can adjust this nozzle, but as you see, you don't have much room, and this is already kind of plumbed the way they want it, so there's not going to be much additional plumbing you can do in this. You just don't have the room for it. But overall, this is a pretty cool little all-in-one tank, and there's your return and your drain line into your sump. All in all, it's a pretty tight little 5-gallon tank. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to bring you guys a video here later tonight once it's set up. I've got some sand and rock in there, and you guys can kind of see it from there. And questions, comments, you know, and I've kind of figured out by looking at it, this is probably the way this is going to have to go, just to be able to get access to the drawer, get a little more access out of it. That's going to be the way you need to go. But anyway, guys, questions, comments, put them down below. As always, appreciate it.